that we are not asking you to make a lead that you probably wouldn't make anyhow. Here's your auction. So the opponents have found what appears to be a double fit with a 1 spade opening, a 2 club response. Opener raises clubs, and responder goes on to game in spades. This, by the way, while we are classifying defense as do we want to be passive or do we want to attack, here they have an agreed double fit. They have shown fits in 2 suits. And of course the major ends up being trump, and the clubs we figure is their side suit, a spot where they probably have some winners after they get trumps drawn. Whenever you see an agreed double fit, I really hope that you are leading an unbid suit, even if that means leading away from a king or a queen. This is a situation where you've got to attack. Because if dummy were to table, and now that 2 club response doesn't promise a 5 card or longer club suit, but often it will be. And so the way you should be viewing this as a defender is, wow, if they get trumps drawn easily on this hand, then if the clubs in dummy are a good suit with a little help from declare might get to pitch some losers on the 4th and 5th club potentially, right? So this should hopefully say to you, hey, there's some urgency to take any tricks that we have coming in side suits. So of the unbid suits, you typically want to lead your best / longest. Right. Look for your longest and strongest. Well, we made that easy for West on this hand, right? Because your hearts are only Jack 3rd and you have a fairly natural looking diamond lead with King Queen. Now it's not a perfect sequence. You don't have King Queen Jack. You don't even have King Queen 10. But I think you want to attack here. And so I think you want to lead the king. Everybody's comfortable with that, right? You very well may have made that lead in any context. So, all right, so here's what dummy puts down. 3 card spade support, Queen 10-9. That's no surprise from the bidding. King Queen Doubleton of hearts. 3 little diamonds, which hopefully makes you feel that much better about your diamond lead. And indeed, 5 clubs to the King Queen. And it's a 12 count. It's not the most amazing hand in the world, but if partner opened a spade, I think I would force the game with that hand because we have a fit. So you lead your king of diamonds, and dummy just shows up with 3 small. Now, by the way, I should ask you, what good reason can you see, West, to be leading from your longest and strongest suit, other than the fact that you have a natural-ish kind of sequence there? Because there is one more reason to make that lead. 4 trump. Mm-hmm. And this time your trumps aren't just 4 small, actually 4 to the ace. That's actually kind of a big deal. Holding the master trump, right? Because you know that your opponents are only going so far until they've knocked out the ace of trump, right? I mean, they can't get around that. That they are going to have to do that at some point, and probably intend to do that fairly early on this hand. So you actually have a very good trump holding with some length to it. But again, we don't want you leading from shortness when you have 4 trumps to the ace. So we don't want you, say, leading a club. We want you leading your longest, strongest suit. This is that counterintuitive thing. When we have trump length, we lead from length. All right, so partner, it turns out, has the expected just 1 small trump. Partner has a bunch of hearts here, but they're not very good. Partner has the ace-jack fourth of diamonds, and also a couple of clubs. By the way, I probably asked we said we haven't talked about defense, but is everybody here playing standard carding? Mm-hmm. I didn't know if any of you were playing had messed with upside down carding or not, or.
But not
Yeah.
here. No,
Okay.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we will presume standard carding. So. And then let's go ahead and give you the fourth hand here. Oops, that's the wrong hand.
You got 2 queens.
Nah, I'm looking at the wrong example. You know, every example should really have its own page. I'm looking at the bottom of the page, and we want to be on the top of the page. I was like, that's not the hand I wanted. Okay. I was like, they're supposed to have a double fit in clubs. There it is. Does that look better? All right. Well, how does this defense go? Well, you're starting with the king. So I think your partner can afford the 9 if we're playing standard signals. Yes, I like that lead. Please continue, partner. Okay, so you lead the queen, right? Everybody follows. Got a good thing going so far. Now, you don't know exactly how the diamonds divide. In theory, declare could have started with 3 to the jack, and your partner could have started with 3 to the ace, right? But in any case, it's got to be right to keep playing diamonds, right? Mm-hmm. Don't give up on a good thing here, all right? So let's say you play another diamond, partner puts in the jack, and your partner knows that declare is roughing at this point. So we have cleared up that picture. Well, on the surface, this looks like a pretty easy game for them, doesn't it? I mean, they've lost their 2 diamonds. They have to lose the ace of trump. So this is just a little walk in the park for declare, right? They knock out the ace of spades. They've lost 2 diamonds and a spade. Once they're back in, they finish drawing trump. They have all the big trumps down through 10, 9, and 8 even. They draw trumps, and they've got this lovely club suit, and they run their clubs and whistle their way on home, right?
Whistle.
Or do they?
Well.
So, believe it or not, you have them. But there's one little thing you have to do.
Don't take the ace.
Don't take the ace of spades just yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, one little more element. You're going to see why you need to duck your ace of spades, not once, but twice. All right, so let's say they lead a spade. Okay, well, you'd normally play second hand low anyhow, I hope, right? Yeah. So to the 9, and partner follows with the 3. Now remember, as far as declare knows, trumps are splitting 3-2, right? They haven't gotten the bad news yet.
Right.
All right, they're about to. So let's say they now play the 10, and your partner just say throws away a little heart, something like that. All right. Now, if you win the ace now, which you might be tempted to do, what can you not do successfully at this point? Play a 4th round of diamonds, right?
Right.
Why can you not play a 4th? If you win the ace in the 2nd round and you find yourself on lead, you know, remember, this is all about the force. You are trying to make the long hand rough. But if you win the ace the 2nd round and you play another diamond, what are they going to do? They're going to rough over here, right? They can afford to rough with their king. And then they can always come back to their hand with the ace of hearts or the ace of clubs and finish drawing trump. So that will not beat them. Remember that the whole idea behind the force here is that it's got to be done to the long hand. If you don't make south rough, this hasn't worked for you yet. South would love to be able to ruff another diamond in the dummy and not have to take the hit in hand. But what if you duck a second time? Now declare is in big trouble. You see what happens? If they play one more trump to drive out the ace, now you win, and dummy has no more trumps left. Right? So if you win the ace in the third round, and there are no trumps left in dummy, it's safe to play another diamond, right?
No, leave it down here. You can rough down there.
Well, but remember they roughed once earlier, right? They roughed a diamond.
Right.
So you duck the second round. Let's say they play trumps one more time. Then it goes queen. All right, doesn't matter whether they play king or jack, they're all equals. Okay.
Right, now you.
All right, and now you win your ace, and you still have your 6, right? Because not all the trumps are drawn.
But he has
But dummy has no trumps. So what do? You play your 6. They can play whatever they want. Now they've thrown a winner away from dummy, right? Because the diamonds and spades are gone. So let's say they just play a little club. Well, your partner plays the ace, and there goes their last trump. What is now a winner? The 6.
6.
If you really wanted style points, you would have played the 6 and the 5 earlier on and won a trick with your 2. I mean, we can make the smallest trump of all the setting trick here, right? Right? Because they're in trouble. They're in trouble, right? If they draw all their trumps and you force them to ruff, you remain with a trump. And now what's declare do? Well, I mean, they can play their other winners, they can play their club winners, their heart winners, but at some point you're going to rough in because you have a trump left and they have no trumps left. All right, so let's say we go back to the scenario before. What if they draw 2 rounds, and it's gonna end up being the same song. They draw 2 rounds. They see the trumps are breaking 4-1, and they say, "Oh, I'm in trouble. I can't play another trump." Well, what happens? Same thing, right? They can start playing clubs. They can start playing hearts. They can start playing anything that's not trump. But what are you going to do at some point? You're going to rough in with your 6, and you still have your ace.
Yeah.
So you have taken 2 diamonds and 2 trumps. Sometimes, and I like the way they phrase it in the Hall book, they talk about, they refer to the forcing defense as being like, they call it magic, like you magically create a trump trick where it looked like you didn't have one, right? Your trumps were ace 6 5 2. How many trumps did you think you were scoring on this hand? Probably just 1, right? Because the others were too small to be of any good, or were they? So this one requires, being a little more careful and not taking your ace too soon. And I would say that on this defense, that's probably the hardest thing to see. To see that you need to take your ace of trump at exactly the right time. But if you can remind yourself that your goal is to force declare to ruff in a hand rather than in the dummy, to force in the hand that started with 5 trumps and not in the hand that started with 3 trumps, hopefully that will lead you to the right line of defense. And this is one of those hands that, if it gets played a dozen times in a club game, frankly, I expect to see 4 spades making more than I see it fail. Because people were afraid to execute the forcing defense. And presumably almost everybody in the room would be getting off to the right lead. I would expect most people to lead the king of diamonds, and when it holds the trick, to continue diamonds. But then as soon as that first diamond gets roughed, when the defense gets in later, they give up. They're like, oh, no future there. Declare rough that suit. They're out. And so they were on this great line of defense, and then they abandoned it when they were doing exactly what they needed to do. So, any questions there on that one?
Interesting.
All right, well, I have another one for you.
Kurt, I do always worry, because I love it when I'm declare and they give me a rough and slough. So then I worry if they're out both places, am I gonna give them a rough and a slough? Can you talk, I mean,
So, you know, it's strange, as a, and that's probably one of the harder things. As a defender, most of the time, you should really avoid giving a rough and slough. Or, you know, at least knowingly giving a rough and slough. There are occasional hands where the rough and slough does not help declare. But I'd say that they're a lot less common. It's hard to say definitively when you can get away with it and when you can't. But, you know, in this case here, you know, where you have, you get a count on the diamond suit pretty early when you see 3 and dummy, and you go diamond, 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 and then you know that declare is only, you know, and the thing is, you know, like we said when we looked at that situation where, well, what would happen if you won your ace in the second round, and then you led your other diamond? So you would be giving a rough and slough, and in fact, the rough and slough wouldn't be helping declare, right? Because they have all the top hearts and they have all the top clubs. There is no useful slough, right? And so that the reason that the rough and slough is bad there is only because you gave declare the option of roughing and dummy. So in theory, it's not the rough and slough part of that defense that is problematic. It's just the fact that, you know, because the slough didn't do them any good, right?
but if they had a little, if they had king X of hearts, and maybe partner had the queen, maybe they could get rid of that loser in hearts.
Well, yeah, but I mean, even if dummy showed up with only king doubleton, you figure declare has to have the ace of hearts to have an opening bid here.
Sure.
And so, and you know, and then again, go back to the bidding and how things have developed so far. They found a double fit in clubs. It certainly looks like declare is something like 5-4-2-2 shape, right?
Okay.
So if their hearts are exactly ace doubleton, I mean, you saw them follow to 2 diamonds, and that pretty much leaves them room to only have a couple of hearts. So yeah, so sometimes the rough and slough doesn't actually help declare, but it's usually, I'd say it's pretty rare that I have found a hand where I specifically wanted to give a rough and slough because it was the best defense. So usually when I give it, I didn't mean to. You know, it was a freaky. It was a situation where, like, you know, I was leading a suit and partner had 6 of that suit, but we had never bid during the auction, and there was nothing about the bidding that indicated to me, you know, when I saw it, it was like, oh, it's, you know, dummy only started off with 1 or 2 of the suit. Looks like it's safe for me to just lead that suit and make them rough, and then it turns out that they're roughing, and then here comes a pitch from the other hand. I was like, oh, wasn't expecting that. All right, so I want to give you one more example so that you can see that it actually is possible. Because you're thinking, okay, well, what's the key to, you know what, to not being forced as declared? Well, you might think, well, if I had more trumps, I could stand to take these hits. I could stand to take the so-called tap in my hand and still have plenty of trumps to get trumps drawn, right? So you might think that having 6 trumps would be good enough. But I have an example for you here where you can use a forcing defense even when declare has a 6-card suit. I actually don't have an auction for this one, but that is fine because we don't really need one. I will tell you that once again, South is in 4 spades. Shocking. And